start streaming. We'll start streaming now. And we'll talk about lore. We're gonna talk about lore today, gang. Taff and I are gonna read through the lore on the Discord for Realms of Dirt. It is essentially the far, far future of the VVVEX universe.
Right. Do you want me to start off?
Yeah.
You still there?
Yeah, can you hear me? Am I on mute? Can you hear me now? Taff?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Alright, cool.
Right. Did you hear what I was saying?
I think so. You said you were gonna read it?
Yeah. Am I able to just read it from the beginning now that I know that that you can hear me?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just gonna take it from the top. Right. So, first things that we're gonna do for covering this lore is we're gonna discuss the time that this universe takes place. This TTRPG takes place after the Korolo Miaza made the staff go away. The Miaza is a big purple fog that changes you or sometimes kills you. The staff are the people who came before you. Some people say they're angels and demons. Others say they're gods. Many people are not sure what to think. Some adventurers like to drive into some of the staff ruins out of the countryside and check them. Some would return with treasures. Many don't return at all.
Okay, and let's stop right there real quick. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
I can hear you.
So let's talk about that real quick. So this is in the far future of the VVVEX universe. This is past the Sandpunk universe as well. The Sandpunk universe was like a series of like short art videos on the YouTube channel. So are you familiar with what miasma is? Miasma?
It's quite a new concept for me, to be honest.
So miasma, miasma, I think the American pronunciation is miasma, so bear with me on that. Miasma in fiction is like a spooky fog, basically. You'll see that a lot, and it called miasma in things like Final Fantasy, Crystal Chronicles, and there's, I forget the TTRPG name, but there's a TTRPG where it's basically after the miasma as well, but it's medieval times. And I think it was big during COVID and the lockdown and stuff, and I think it even had like little bits of inspiration from the real life COVID lockdown. But basically miasma in this is like a big like sci-fi fantasy fog, and it took up most of the world, the realm, if you will, because it's not really a world. They don't have a concept of like a round world because they live underground. Yeah, it took up most of the realm, and mutated people, kind of like similar to the cloud of radiation in Metamorphosis Alpha that was released in like I think 1975 or something, and then it kind of faded away, and there's still some of it left. You'll see it adventuring out into the wilderness and stuff, but it's very rare. It's not super common. You may find it, just out in the woods, in the dungeon, maybe you're out, exploring an abandoned city. You never know where you're gonna find it, but it's usually, out in the places where people don't live anymore because it's dangerous. And the staff are, basically the people who lived before everybody. There are no humans in this game, and nobody knows what the staff are. No one knows what humans are. They don't have a concept of that. And there's different depictions of the staff. So you're never really sure what exactly they are. Maybe there's something like humans. Maybe there's something like something else. And people kind of argue and fight over which thing even are the staff. So it's not really like a concrete thing. You can use your headcanon, or if you make your own homebrew of this TTRPG, you can write in whatever you want the staff are. So yeah, go ahead and if you have any questions, just ask me, any questions about that, and I'll explain anything.
So about the staff, is it something that you presumably made ambiguous so essentially the players can fill the gaps within their mind?
Yeah, it's ambiguous on purpose, like what they are exactly. So if you wanted your headcanon that they're aliens, you can do that. If you want your headcanon to be that they're humans, you can do that. You could even, say that it's one of the playable species just from before times. It's whatever you want to be. You're going to see a lot of different depictions of what people say the staff are. So you're never really going to know.
Am I alright to sort of mention my personal headcanon?
Yeah, of course.
My personal headcanon about the staff is, I believe they're a lost civilization of people.
Yeah, I like that. They are definitely a lost civilization. They're like Atlanteans. But yeah, it never explicitly says, like, are they humans? Are they some kind of elven thing or something? Are they aliens? Because
I thought.
Go ahead.
I've kind of imagined them as like the dwarves from the Elder Scrolls sort of series, personally.
Yeah, they are kind of like the dwarves, or the Dwemer, whichever name you want to use. They're both kind of interchangeable, right? The dwarf is like the Western name, and the Dwemer is like the Eastern name. Yeah, it's a little bit like that. Or kind of like, the non-mutated humans before the Fallout series, right? Because you are technically playing as a mutant in Fallout. It's just everyone is a human-looking mutant, basically.
So it's just the degrees of mutation.
Yeah, that's why in Fallout 2, you're considered a mutant by the Enclave, is, because you were born, not underground. You were born above ground, so you're technically slightly mutated. At least that's from what I remember. It's been a long time since I've played Fallout 2.
Ooh. I am pretty much still trying to think of what this. Still trying to think up my personal headcanon about the staff. But I also kind of don't want to mention it too much because I don't want to mention it in an official TTRPG podcast because I kind of worried that other players might take it because I know there are like some sort of universes where they end up taking on board headcanon and that kind of.
That's fine. I'm fine with people doing that. Like if you want to like say like they're this or that. Like sometimes I'll imply that they're humans, other times I'll imply that they're aliens, maybe robots even. Maybe robots would be fun. Like it's just robots. Who knows?
I kind of picked them similar, like a sort of like ancient race responsible for the realm itself.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
So there's staff ruins. Like what we read earlier. So they are kind of responsible in a sense for the realm itself. And no one knows what the realm really is. They just, they know where they are, or not where they are, but they know in their culture and their lives and stuff where they are. Their home. Basically, they're in their world, and their world is underground. There's no sky or like anything like that. They have no concept of like planets or space or anything.
Interesting.
Yeah, and with that, we could actually segue to the next part, because the next part is the location thing, if you want to read that.
Yeah. You live underground. Nobody knows they're underground. The realm you live in is called Dirt, and you have no concept of a round world. The cavern ceiling is so high that it has its own cloud system and weather system. That kind of have you heard of that kind of reminds me the whole concept of like a post-apocalyptic sort of underground world. That kind of reminds me of have you heard of the game Arxis Fatales?
No. If you send me that, I would love to check that out later. Another person guessed Underrail. And one person guessed that real-life cave in Vietnam that has its own weather system because it's so big. And it's actually that one. It's the Vietnamese cave.
Oh!
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Right. Oh, that's cool. I hope you don't mind just talking about that in a bit more depth.
Yeah, of course. I forget what it's called. Let me Google that real quick. The Hong Son Doon, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I'm sorry. If anyone, there's barely anyone watching right now. I think there's like 1 or 2 people. But if there is someone who's watching from Vietnam in the future, I'm really sorry for my shitty pronunciation of everything. But the Hong Son Doon cave system in Vietnam is known for its own weather system because it is so large that it creates a unique enclosed microclimate. Warm, moist air from the outside enters through large openings called doines. Doines? I'm not sure. Where it condenses to form clouds, mist, and its own internal weather patterns, like rain, which nourish underground jungles and rivers.
Yeah, just having a look at some of the images, it kind of seems surreal to me that this is something that's actually real.
Yeah, it's beautiful too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is absolutely gorgeous. This was a huge inspiration for Realms of Dirt. I love taking like real life things that already feel kind of like fantastical and just kind of making them a little bit more fantastical, but still like a little bit like realism. I'm a big fan of like low fantasy, sword and sorcery, like stuff like that. So yeah, big fan of kind of making your fantasy feel like slightly like believable but fantastic. I think something that does a really great job at this, which sounds really silly, but it's I feel like it's Elder Scrolls, like especially like Morrowind and Skyrim. Like especially Skyrim too. Like Skyrim, and I know this sounds crazy because I'm a bigger fan of Morrowind than Skyrim, but I feel like Skyrim does low fantasy the best out of most video games that I've seen, because you start out seeing like just normal things and like normal poverty, right? Like the first little town that you go to is Riverwood, and then you go to Whiterun, and you don't really see anything that's high fantasy until like you're in like high level dungeons, or you're doing like the Mages Guild quests, and I think it's the Augur of Dunlane or something. Let me look that up. Augur of the Augur of Dunlane, feels very high fantasy. It's just someone who's like literally like a glowing ball of light, pretty much. Like I don't know, like I feel like they're pretty good at like making things kind of low fantasy feeling. Oh, every time I type, it does the face on my avatar. That's funny. I forgot. Because it's when I type, what is it? Oh. So anyway, yeah. So you're underground, and you're in basically a series of like caverns that are so big that they have their own like weather system and clouds and stuff. And with that, let's read the next part. We can segue into the next part.
Yeah, let's yeah, so you want to talk about the sun?
Yeah. I can read that if you want. So this section is called The Sun and Stars. You have no concept of a sun, space, planets, or stars. You have the sun, a large fungus that grows over every city on the cavern ceiling. They are each referred to as a singular object instead of multiple, because there is a root system that connects all of these funguses. At day, the sun glows yellow and unwraps like a blooming flower. At night, the sun wraps up its fungusy flower-like petals and glows blue, and that's called moon. And for stars, you have the starms. These are large worms that hang from all city cavern ceilings, and mysteriously, they create the same patterns. These patterns are like constellations and are used as zodiac signs, maps, religious ceremonies they're even used for, and plenty of other things. Both the sun and starms have had really large impacts on every culture. Pretty much every single culture that you're going to see in this game. They, have, their own, like, outlooks and stuff on the sun, the moon, the starms, and all of that. So, you might be asking, what do we do for, like, sunrises and sunsets and moon cycles and stuff, right? Well, I'll tell you. So go down here real quick to Lore, Sun, Moon, Starms. So in real life, there's something called a sundog, and that's basically like an atmospheric reflection of the sun, where you'll see multiple suns. And I'll look that up now. A sundog. A sundog is an atmospheric optical phenomenon consisting of bright spots of light on either side of the sun, caused by reflection of sunlight through hexagonal ice crystals in the atmosphere. They are known as parhelia, or mock suns, and can appear with colorful, rainbow-like streaks with red closest to the sun. Sundogs are most often seen on cold, clear days when the sun is low in the sky. So, our Realms of Dirt, our place that we're playing at in Realms of Dirt is usually based off of the southeast side of America, known as the Bible Belt. So you're probably wondering, well, since there's no ice crystals or anything like that, how are you like writing in like sundogs? And so instead of reflecting optical illusions on like ice in the sky, basically it's spores from the sun. So the fixed sun every day and every night, the moon drops spores down just ambiently in the atmosphere, and that creates a sundog for both the sun and the moon. And these are called sundogs and moondogs. So the sun and moon dogs are reflections made by spores that fall from the sun/moon. The reflections create an illusion of a sunset, sunrise, solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, moon phases, and a moon going around the quote-unquote sky. The sun dog, he chases his tail across the sky. The moon dog, she chases her tail across the sky. Long ago, it is said that they fell in love, and the moon dog gave birth to their children, the Starms. And that's just at least like in most of the Western outlooks in Realms of Dirt, is a lot of like Western religions believe that the sun dog and the moon dog basically like had babies, and those babies are the Starms, which are the stars, the star worms that glow in the cavern ceiling. And that's how you got a sky. Yeah, so it's a little bit kind of like a Star Wars kind of sky. Which sky is it? I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I can't remember. Is it Tatooine that has two suns?
Yeah. I believe it's Tatooine.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of like it's kind of like a Tatooine, except for one of the suns and one of the moons are always fixated in one location, and the other is the one that's creating the moon phases and the sunrises and the sunsets, basically. And with that, we can go to the next section, the water section. Do you want to read that?
Oh, yeah. I'd be happy to read it. Okay. It's gross but beautiful. Saltwater ripples a blue glow due to bioluminescent plankton. Brackish water looks like salt water, but darker and less bioluminescent. Fresh water doesn't glow, and it's dark green to brown and has a very faint rainbow shimmer. Yeah, I am aware of the phenomenon of bioluminescent plankton, but I've never seen it myself in person.
Yeah, neither have I. So I am from Florida, of course. So you'd think with me talking about the Space Coast so much that I've been there, but I haven't, actually. I've never been to the Space Coast. I actually want to wait until I'm married to go to the Space Coast. I promised myself that if I ever get married someday, then I would go see bioluminescent plankton in real life, and that would be at my wedding. So yeah, I'm saving myself for something special. But yeah, so in the game, in the video game and not the TTRPG, how we'll create this is using a pack from Unreal Market, which is now called Fab. The pack is called Fluid Flex. For anybody, if you're making your own game and you want to use that, I'll actually drop that into the tab. It's Fluid and then Flux, like FLUX. And it's a fantastic pack. Wayward Realms is actually using it as well. I'm not a super duper fan of Wayward Realms. I know that we kind of share realms in our name. There are things that I like about them and things that I do not like at all. I don't like the look of the goblins. I feel like the world is gonna be too big, but I still want to play the game. It's still cool. The devs are nice. I've talked to some a few times. I've talked to Victor. He seems pretty cool. And I like some of the direction and stuff. But you know me, I'm not a big fan of like normal fantasy, but I will play it. You know, like I like normal fantasy. It's just it's not my favorite. You know. But anyway, yeah. Glowing water is we'll be using fluid flux for that. You can change the like water ripples basically, and so you know, and you could change the normal color of the water. So what we'll be doing is basically changing the ripples to like a bright neon blue to create that effect of like glowing blue plankton. And then the rest of the water, you know, like we'll make, you know, whichever color that it needs to be for the ocean. You know, sometimes maybe it'll be like a dark green, maybe it'll be like a dark brown, or, you know, whatever it needs to be. You know, because like the ocean color is different in certain areas, and we want to recreate that as well. So yeah, anyway, with that, we can go to the next thing, the towns, if you want to read that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna mention the first town, which is Hospital, the old swamp town. It sucks here. Hospital spans from sitting on a river to the swamps that spread out to the rest of the area. Hospital has the highest rural crime rate. Bigots, a few gangs, and a lot of addicts. The local church runs the community centre. It used to be a great place before.
I'll pronounce that for you.
I'm so sorry. It's
no,
just,
you're good. It's Meemaw, which is like a redneck word for grandma, and then abuela, which is Spanish for a grandma as well. And that's what I grew up calling my father's mother, mi abuela. Yeah,
right.
yeah. So it's based off of that. Terrible person. Everyone in my family, not everyone, but a lot of people in my family are kind of shitty people, and bigoted, and I don't have contact with them anymore. But I did love the name growing up. I think it was a cute name, and like, you know, I'm not a Christian, but I guess I forgive people. I just don't want to be in their lives, you know. So like, I'm not gonna sit here and like shit on everybody, basically. So. You know, Saint Mima Abuela. There's different Mima Abuelas basically in this game, and so not every one of them is evil. So in this one, Saint Mima Abuela was good, and so when she died, the church kind of basically fell to shit, and kind of got like overrun by a lot of bigoted people. And yeah, you can continue reading now.
Yeah. The old Hospital does sound like a place in Florida, although I've never been there myself. It just kind of sounds like my idea of Florida.
Yeah, it's got that southern hospitality.
Yeah. Anyways, on to the next one. Oil. It's out in the forest and has the lowest crime rate. It's called Oil because it's built near some old realm machines that extract oil. Some people figured out how to use staff technology. I wonder where they are now.
So Oil is actually based off of a real city or town. It's called Oil City in Louisiana. And Oil City in Louisiana, at least back when I had discovered it, was very mixed, and it had a low crime rate. And I thought that was neat because, you know, I grew up in the north part of the Southeast in Florida, North Florida, where it was more kind of like Georgia and less kind of like Miami culture, right? Where a lot of rednecks, a lot of bigoted rednecks, and a lot of the bigoted rednecks felt that culture mixing was bad, and would say that I'm pretty bad for being, you know, culturally mixed, and would, you know, say that like, you know, like different races that were not white, you know, were a problem of crime rates. And so Oil essentially, like, statistically was proving that false, at least when I had found Oil City in Louisiana. Oil City was, I think at the time, like pretty much 50-50, like white people and black people, and had a really low crime rate. Everybody got along. It was pretty chill. It's a very small, teeny tiny little town, and not bad. Not bad at all. So I thought Oil, like, needs a shout out, and I thought, it'd be fun to make a city, a town, like Oil City in the game. And yeah, I thought it would be also neat to be kind of like in the video game, you're gonna have multiple places you can start in. I hate having one starter location. It's kind of annoying. So you're gonna have like a hard, easy, and medium starting place, right? So Hospital will be like if you want to start on hard mode, because of its high crime rate. You can start your game in Hospital and deal with stuff like that. Or if you want to deal with like easier places, you can start out in Oil or the next town that you're about to read. And so that'll actually give us a good segue to read about the next town.
Ooh. The town of Stick, which is the smallest and most boring town. It's out of the way in the country and said to be cursed. The rumours don't add up, but usually what you hear about is ghosts, zombies, and witches.
Yeah, and Stick is it's a pretty sleepy and boring town aside from the spooky rumors. It is quite literally out in the sticks, which is why they call it Stick. It's out in the sticks so badly that there's just one stick. That's a joke, of course. There's plenty of trees, but yeah. Stick is, I'm not sure if Oil or Stick will be the easiest or the medium. I'm not sure which. Maybe Oil will be the easiest and Stick will be medium, even though Stick is smaller. Because, there's spooky stuff out in Stick, right? Maybe you want, like, some kind of spooky thing with your tutorial. And we'll make that like the medium level kind of thing.
Also, can I just say something first?
Yeah.
From the lore that you're discussing about the Realms of Dirt universe, one thing I've picked on that is doing what I think a lot of fantasy authors are kind of missing. It's to me, it feels like a very sort of American sort of fantasy universe, and I love that because even American fantasy authors kind of have to rely on either creating their fantasy world that's either European or East Asian inspired.
Oh my god, yeah, thank you. Yeah, a lot of American fantasy things, yeah, really heavily pick up off of East Asian stuff. Morrowind, of course, is kind of like a mix of, I would say predominantly Southeast Asian and South Asian, but it does have a lot of East Asian influences, like with the Great House system and stuff like that. But yeah, you see a lot of Asian influences in American fantasy, and this will have like everything, because I want to be able to go everywhere. So you can go to a European area in Realms of Dirt. You can go to different Asian areas in Realms of Dirt. But in the first TTRPG that we make, in the first video game that we make, it'll be centered basically around like a Bible Belt kind of inspired area, a very American kind of fantasy thing. But you will see people from like other countries in the Realms of Dirt. So, but yeah, it's gonna be a lot of American fantasy stuff. Shout out to Skunk Ape. We will have a big smelly Sasquatch. All right, and with that, I guess we could. Do you want to ask any other questions, or do you want to segue to the next thing?
I just want to know how long have you been working on this universe, and is this like a fairly recent thing, or have you been working on it for years upon years?
Maybe not years upon years, but definitely years. I started making the clone fantasy around lockdown. I was kind of sick of trying to make like a cyberpunk pre-apocalyptic Tetsuo the Iron Man inspired ARG, because I felt that like I started doing this in like 2011 when there were barely any industrial bands doing that. You know, like most of the industrial bands during this time were still doing agrotech. They were doing a lot of like far future stuff or like cyberpunk post-apocalyptic instead of pre-apocalyptic, and there was not a lot of Tetsuo the Iron Man kind of influence and stuff, right? You had maybe like me and Nequam Sonitus for Florida, and that was like basically that was it. And I would say for all of America, there was maybe like 10 bands in all doing something like Tetsuo the Iron Man in the industrial music scene during this time. But after 2012 and the fall of agrotech and cybergoth, they, you know, eventually people saw like what other people were doing, and they saw like how, you know, like noise industrial was moving to industrial rock, and people felt more and more that this was kind of just like 90s rock. So as time went by, people would kind of do Tetsuo the Iron Man stuff, and then other bands would copy those bands and not know what Tetsuo the Iron Man was. And then it became like a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, and that felt kind of like boring and annoying. And, you know, like, I wasn't entirely original. There was maybe like one or two things that I did original. And a few people did like copy my stuff, probably not knowing that I was the only person doing it, probably just thinking that, oh, that's a relevant thing, I'll do that. I don't think it was like always malicious. I know that there was a few people that, like, you know, I've caught them admitting that it was like out of maliciousness or like particularly like singling me out. But basically I got sick of that, and I moved my band's lore into clone stuff, kind of as like sometimes a commentary on that, and other times using the clones to put them into different life situations that I've been in, and to like express that. People have said like I've lived like a billion lives in one life, that I'm like the luckiest unlucky person, that I, you know, like I'm like a cat, I have 9 lives or something. And I thought like it would be kind of fun to express like a multitude of these things through the clones. And it also kind of coincided with the late 2010s satanic panic and the transgender agenda conspiracy theories, and how those were kind of being like compared and put together by right-wing conspiracy theories. So I thought, you know, like, well, hey, like, I'm transgender. I like the transgender agenda conspiracy theories. I think they're hilarious and stupid. Why not express this in my art? So I did that. I killed off my character from the ARG, and I turned her into a bunch of clones. And then eventually, you know, as I was living with Brian, Brian was one of the first to say, like, well, you should turn this into a TTRPG because you already like that. You already like role-playing games and stuff. Like, I think that would be really cool. You've got a lot of like unique lore going on here. And we just had someone like leave. That's kind of funny. I bet maybe that was like one of the people. How dare you? But yeah, a few people eventually after Brian was like maybe one of the first like few people who said this. A few people eventually were like, yeah, you should do that. And at first I was like, no, I'm not doing that. That's fucking stupid. And I made this like universe that was kind of like Alice in Wonderland, but clones, and it took place underground. And you know, like, as I started kind of like losing fame, you know, like as like lockdown started ending, I started losing fame, and as that was going on, I felt like I had like more creative freedom. There was less pressure of me to do like the same stupid like TikTok clone videos over and over again, which did have meanings and stuff. Like if you go to the second YouTube channel and you see like all the titled videos, the titles are like hints of like what's going on in that ARG story. which I won't spoil for people, like if anyone still wants to play that. The reward is gone, but you can still play it and go to the end. I tried mailing out a puzzle to a bunch of people, and I told them to like, you know, like put it together basically and like to post like their clues. No one posted the clues, which was just fucking insane. I straight up tried to like as bluntly as possible say like, hey, these packages have clues, post them, and nobody did. So basically, the ARG, everyone lost. All the players lost the game. Is what it is. And so I kind of destroyed that. Again, I destroyed an ARG. And I started rebuilding it and retconning things and recreating things into the Realms of Dirt. And the Realms of Dirt kind of started becoming a thing, maybe like 2022, or maybe the end of 2022, maybe like the middle of 2022, I think, something like that. And yeah, originally it was like this Alice in Wonderland thing. I thought like if it was going to be a video game or a movie, it would be like this kind of like single player, single character experience where it would be based around like one particular clone, that would kind of have like something similar to like a Nerevarine prophecy from Morrowind or Alice in Wonderland. And then I was like, like I love Morrowind. Alice in Wonderland's kind of cool, but like why like do something that's already been done? You know what I mean? Like, so I was like, I'm gonna put my own thing together instead of doing that. And yeah, that became Realms of Dirt. So it's like a couple years old now, but it's not like super old or anything. It's not like years and years or something. It's like maximum 3 years old.
So, do you want to bring up so we've done discussing the towns.
Oh, what happened to your mic? It's like quiet now.
Oh, sorry about
Oh,
that. Yeah, no, it's just I've accidentally knocked the mic down a bit, so I'm just trying to readjust it now. So, as I was saying, I hope you don't mind if are we able to move on to the cities?
Yeah, of course. I'd love to.
Oh, good. So the city of, please correct me if I'm pronouncing this wrong. The city of Frax?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, it's Frax.
Okay. Once a tourist hotspot, now a lowly fished city. It was built within a ruined city that was made by the people before the apocalypse called the Staff. Frax is basically a dump built over an older dump. It has a very beautiful beach though. Some say it's even better than New Orleans beach since there's less tourists now. Sometimes I go here to smonk wig. So, I don't actually smoke, by the way, but
I don't smoke anymore. I used to smoke, but I don't anymore. I haven't smoked since maybe like a couple months before the China tour, and before the China tour, I smoked for only a few months. So really, I quit maybe like a few weeks before Spange came out. I just felt that like smoking, the funny lettuce, it didn't help me creatively. I know it does for other people. It has different effects on everybody. Everyone's body is different. So for me personally, it just didn't make me as creative unless I did it before going to sleep and drinking coffee. Go figure. I would drink coffee and smoke before bed, and then I would have like some wild ass fucking dreams, and that was fun for inspiration. But like, I don't need to do that anymore. You know what I mean? I'll just get better at writing through hard work. I don't think I'm like a super great writer, but I think after a few years of like working and studying, I'll get to being pretty decent. So bear with me, everybody, on my shitty writing. But yeah.
Uh, uh, Me personally, I definitely, well, I don't read a lot of fantasy, so it's kind of hard for me to engage with the quality of the writing. But for what I, but what for I'm, but what from I, but what from what I've read of your stuff, it is certainly unique, and it is certainly your style, which I think is kind of hard to do personally in fantasy, because I've noticed a lot of fantasy authors tend to do the old, oh, let's just copy Tolkien.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been trying to work pretty hard on it.
Hmm. So, anyways, I'm just gonna move on to the next city of New Oil, the new hot tourist spot of the south. New Oil is a. Oh, hold on. Before we move on to that, can you just talk about your inspiration of Frax, because it does kind of sound very New York inspired.
Okay. Yeah, give me 1 second. It's weird. We have some kind of like issue, I think, with my mic. But that's fine. Anyway, so actually no. I don't really have much of a New York inspiration for Frax. I think the only New York inspiration I have for Frax is like a city built on top of a city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I kind of got the idea of
Yeah.
that from when I was reading it.
But that's also like a Futurama influence. So Frax is an undercity in the sewers, called the sewer slums. At least that's what I'm calling it right now. And it's a little Futurama, and Futurama is New York. But Frax is actually based off of Jacksonville, Florida. That's the city I was born in, and the airplane version, or the airport version, whatever, is called JAX, Jax, and that's what people call Jacksonville. In Jacksonville, is everyone just calls it Jax. They'll say Jax Beach, Jax this, Jax that. It's just Jax. So I thought Frax. I think that was inspired, I think maybe from fracking or something. I can't remember. It's been a long time. I remember there was some kind of funny joke for how Frax was made. I'll have to look that up later. Oh, but also, I forget, and before I forget, Frax is also based off of St. Augustine, Florida. It's south of Jacksonville. And St. Augustine is a tourist city, but it's really small, and kind of like forgotten about. So I thought, it would be kind of fun and cool to kind of like take those elements and put that into Frax, and as the whole, like, this used to be like, a big cool place, until New Oil came about. And New Oil, obviously New Orleans, but also like Orlando as well. So it's kind of like this tale of like like Orlando versus the other cities, basically. Because Orlando is oh, that's right, you're from Wales. Orlando is where Disney World is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like to compare that to all the other cities basically in Florida is everyone kind of feels left out, or like there's this kind of like rivalry, like Miami versus Orlando, like, and people in St. Augustine, I'm sure a lot of people in the tourist industry there feel kind of like maybe a little jaded towards Orlando sometimes. It's definitely seemed that way from my experience when I was young in the music scenes. I definitely met a lot of people who were jaded towards the Orlando music scene. So it's a little bit inspired off of that. Do you want to go to the next one?
Yeah, so I've noticed that you've mentioned that there's no humans in your universe. If that's the case, then what would be the species?
So there's we're actually about to get to that. And we could just do that right now. So there's 5 playable species in Realms of Dirt for the TTRPG and the video game. So kind of like Elder Scrolls, you'll be able to pick your race, but these will be entire species. So I feel like the difference is basically like species will have multiple races within them and will not be like a monoculture. In the original like concepts of Morrowind, it was kind of the same thing. That like Imperial was almost like a whole different species because there was originally going to be Italian and Chinese Imperials. And like the orcs, were different because there's the hill orcs, right? And then there's also like the Orsinium orcs and different kinds of orcs and stuff, and they had like different looks. The Bosmer, the Wood Elves looked, wildly different than like other Mer, right? Like they all felt like their own unique species that had their own like races within those species. And I always thought it would have been cool if they stuck with that. If like, there was, like Asian Imperials, like the concept of the Chinese Imperials, like the Nibonese, and then there was the, Colovian, like European style like Imperials. And I thought it would be cool if there were, like South Asian Dunmer, Southeast Asian Dunmer, East Asian Dunmer, and then even Eastern European Dunmer. And same with Skyrim, I thought it would be cool if there were, like the Nordic Nords, like the Eastern European Nords, and then maybe you had like, since it borders High Rock, you can have like a more like Western European, like Celtic kind of Nord. And I know that the Reachmen they're actually Bretons, of course. But, you don't see other Bretons that are similar to the Reachmen, and I feel like you can kind of, like, have some, like, shared race mixing between there. That there are, like, some Nords that are, like, similar to Reachmen, and that there are Bretons that are Reachmen. And you also see this, like, somewhat implied within just the game itself of Skyrim. I think it's when you go to one of the taverns, you see, like, some people that are Nords and not Bretons, but they have Reachman style, like Celtic looking tattoos. But anyway, yeah, so there's 5 playable species in Realms of Dirt. You have your Gorgons, you have your clones, you have your gnolls, your sirens, and your Tetsuoms. So your Gorgons are like basically like your high elves and your drow. They're, the elven people. They all have different races, of course. They have different cultures, different religions. All of these people do. Yeah, they're kind of like reptilian elves. Your clones are obviously the clones. Like, some of them are descendants of the VVVEX clones. Some of them are descendants of just other people that were clones. Your gnolls are essentially like your manimal trope. Manimal in like a lot of post-apocalyptic and sci-fi TTRPGs are just like beast folk, right? Like they're animal people. And gnolls kind of are like they sometimes range from being like kind of like a mix of like Hopkinsville Goblin and Sasquatch, like a short Sasquatch, to almost being like nimble cat people and like fox people and stuff. They're short, but they're not like super short. It's not like you know, like I guess like making an entire race that kind of like I guess the word would be like itemizes or like fetishizes like people with dwarfism. I actually wrote some lore last year or the year before with Aubrey Smalls, the guy from Dwarfism History. And we discussed that as well, like what would be basically like a solution to writing like a species, like a fantasy species that's not like, oh my god, people with dwarfism, cool, you know what I mean? Like it's something that like anybody can play still. So basically what we've wrote in is that like all of these species can experience dwarfism, and people from different cultures and religions and even non-religions treat people with dwarfism in different ways. Like some people will overly fetishize them and, you know, like glamorize them too much. Other people, you know, like a lot of rational, like kind of like atheists and stuff that just don't care. They're just like, whatever, that's another person. Even some religious people will be like, whatever, that's just another person. And other people will think like that's bad or creepy or gross or whatever. You know, it's going to range from bigotry to fetishization to just whatever. So yeah. Anyway, the next species is sirens. And that's basically like the person over here behind me. That's a siren. They're kind of like alien grays mixed with like fish people, worm people, bug people, a lot of like tropes like that. If you want to play as something that's kind of like buggy or wormy, you could play a siren. If you want to play like something that's kind of like got like a mermaid kind of feel, or like what is it, like I think Zora from Zelda, is it called Zora? Let me look that up real quick.
Yeah, you're gonna have to be a bit more Pacific.
Zelda. Zora, yeah, the Zora race, the fish people from Zelda.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to play something that's like, you know, like a Zora, you know, a siren would basically like fit that trope. So everyone can have like different kind of mutations and aquatic mutations, but sirens can have the most aquatic mutations, and they can be the most like aquatic. They also have unique aquatic mutations that separate them. And this is basically so like, do you want to play as an elf, but like a pirate elf, and you want like a few, you know, like piratey kind of like fishy mutations, you could still have that. But like if you want to go like full on like aquatic fantasy, you still have to play the siren. So that way like we're not like leaving people out, but we're also not making everything too much of like the same thing, basically, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Or should I explain more? Yeah, I can explain more.
You're probably gonna have to explain more.
Okay, so sirens can have like unique aquatic mutations, like different types of gills. Also, there's like translucent sirens, like they have like a jellyfish kind of body. Gorgons, clones, gnolls, the other species, they can't have any of that. But like Gorgons can have like a tiny little bit of fins, right? Like you can have like some cool like fishy ears or like webbed hands or something. And that's basically like if you want to play as a pirate or like some kind of like sailor or something, but you don't want to be a siren, you can have like a few things for like aesthetics and maybe like a tiny swimming bonus, but sirens are going to have like, you know, the biggest buffs on water stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, cool. So yeah, the next one and the last one is, and these are going to be the most unique. Other people can't have stuff like this without just becoming one. Is a Tetsuome, and becoming a Tetsuome is kind of like becoming like, a zombie, like a ghoul, or a werewolf, or a vampire. Like, you can be a Gorgon and become a Tetsuo. You can be a clone and become a Tetsuo. You could be a Null or a Siren and become a Tetsuo. Tetsuoms are made from Nequam syndrome. Um, it is like a virus or disease kind of thing that basically turns you into like a Tetsuo the Iron Man kind of person or creature. It's kind of like a gunky, gooey, robot-y, scrap metal kind of gross thing. And that was to kind of like make the older lore from stuff like make sense, but also just because I'm a big fan of biomechanical body horror. So if you haven't seen Tetsuo the Iron Man, think Tetsuo from Akira. Think that game that just came out a couple years ago, Scorn, right? Biomechanical body horror is basically like where your body absorbs like junk, scrap metal, computer parts, plastic, trash, garbagey kind of stuff. What makes Tetsuoms different in this universe is they also absorb like plant matter and stuff. So if you want to play a druid, you can play any species as a druid, but if you want like full on like crazy ass plant powers and shit, you have to play as a Tetsuo. So there's plants with Nequam syndrome. There's like junk, trash, garbage plants. And it is like an invasive species virus kind of thing that kind of like it creates its own Tetsuo the Iron Man biomes. There's like their own like biomes of like garbage plants and garbage trees and like garbage flowers and things like that. And some Tetsuoms are rumored that like they can like talk to these things and like control them and stuff. So like you as the player will be able to be like one of those very, very, very rare occasions of being able to do that. And so people will see you as like fantasy. And not a lot of people have even seen a Tetsuo. People will think that you're a robot, and most people, when they see a robot, they think, you know, that's scary and evil because they think of like, you know, staff ruins, which are dangerous. And even people who see the staff as like angels or even gods and stuff will still see it as like, you know, heretical, because here's this like fucking, you know, like angelic thing that's like coming to like talk to me, that's usually in a place that's like guarding something, and then that would kill me, you know. So like they would think like this is like some kind of like religious test or something, or like something out to kill them. It's scary, a scary fucking plant robot, you know. And so to bring it back to the sci-fi part and the technical part, how these things are made, what Nequam syndrome is a virus or disease that's made up of nanobots. Are you familiar with nanobot fiction, like gray goo fiction?
Maybe, but I'm familiar with nanobots as a concept, but not nanobot fiction.
Okay. Nanobot fiction is usually like a goo that's like gray, and the goo is the nanobots. Like it's just like so many teeny tiny little nanobots that it like forms a goo. Think like the silvery like stuff that made up like the Terminator. I've never seen the Terminator, but of course I've seen like clips and stuff, and that's kind of like the comparison I can give of like what that looks like. So this is a great time to also bring up hazards in the game. So just how like Fallout has radiation, and Biomutant has like the oil spills and stuff. This game is going to have like multiple hazardous like zones. Oh, you know what? Biomutant does have multiple hazardous zones. They have like even that like toxic fog kind of place and stuff, like a miasma basically. So one of our hazardous zones is like areas of gray goo, where you can get basically like a half body version of Nekwam syndrome, and it'll work kind of like vampirism in Elder Scrolls, where you know, you have to choose whether you want to keep it or get rid of it, and you'll have basically like a minor version of the disease for about like a week or two. I haven't decided how long it'll take yet. But yeah, you'll have like a minor version of Nekwam syndrome. And you'll be like a half Tetsuom for a week or two. And you can either cure it, or you can choose to become a Tetsuom. Or you can start out as a Tetsuom. If you start out as a Tetsuom, you won't be starting out in like oil or stick or like hospital or frax. Those will be probably off limits. Maybe frax you can start out in. I haven't like fully decided yet, but I'm definitely deciding that Tetsuums, for the sake of lore, and for the sake of like introducing the player to this like thing, should probably start out in their own like Tetsuom kind of town. I think that would just kind of be a lot more fitting. But yeah, those are the 5 playable species. Is the Gorgons, like the reptilian elfy kind of people, the clones, the gross kind of like orcish humanoid kind of like stand-in thing, the gnolls, which are just beast folk manimals, sirens, alien gray buggy kind of fishy people, and the Tetsuoms, the junky gray goo plant robot kind of people.
I do also like the sort of sci-fi elements as well in the universe as well. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Do you have any questions or anything?
So about like the various mutations and hazards, are there a way within both the tabletop and the final video game product itself as well? Are there a way to sort of like quote unquote avoid them, cure them, or is it pretty much some of them are an inedibility?
Yeah, so there will be ways to avoid them. There will be a way to cure most things. There might be some things that like are completely permanent, but you'll have a choice to like cure them in the beginning, or you can choose to keep it and stay that way, kind of like Tetsuoms. You know, like if you fall into like a pit of gray goo and you decide, you know what, I want to be a Tetsuom now, you can do that. But if you don't want to do that and you fell into that, you know, pit of gray goo, and you want to keep playing and find some kind of cure, I think a player should be allowed to do that. You know, it kind of opens the door to another quest, to some more lore, to learning things and stuff, and new fun experiences. So I don't want to like take that away from the player, and I also don't want to be like overly harsh. You know, like this isn't going to be like a Souls-like game. You know, like I don't want to be overly punishing. It will be like punishing maybe in a Morrowind kind of way. You know, like in the video game, there likely won't be a map marker unless like there's something actually like someone in lore had to mark on your map, which not everyone's gonna do. You know what I mean? Like I love that in Morrowind, like people don't remember someone's name and they're like, oh, it's this or that, or maybe it was kind of this, or people, you know, like ran away from a monster, and they're like, oh, I lost my husband, I don't know, I ran closer to Aldrun and he must be somewhere to the, you know, the northwest or something, or the southwest, or I don't know. I ran. I was scared. You know, like I enjoy things like that. So this game will be punishing in that way, but not punishing in a like, you know, oh, you fell into like a vat of gray goo, you have to be a Tetsuo. You have to do, like, that's not really fair. But that also kind of takes away from opportunities for more quests and stories and stuff. I'd rather give more opportunities. I could tell you the other hazards too if you want.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
I'd like to hear more about them.
Okay, so let's go to, I think I have a tab for hazards. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. So it's under lore general. If you go down to the very bottom where you see lore diseases, go up just one, and you'll see lore, mutations, and hazards.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, do you want to read this, or do you want me to read this?
Can I read this?
Yeah, of course.
Right. Mutation causes. We're gonna start talking about the toxins mutation.
Yeah.
Additional land animal body part. Change body part to land animal body part. Change skin color and or texture. Change hair color. Change nail color. Eye color and or eye type. Change organ and or blood type. Change bone types.
Yeah, so toxins come from eating stuff. And I didn't write where things come from. I'm really sorry about that. I'll do that soon. And by the way, to like anyone listening to this, we have all of these things in the Discord if you want to go and read things. And you know, by the time other people watch this, things will probably be updated, maybe changed around a bit if something's like messed up or just isn't like good for implementing into the game or the TTRPG. You know, like we're gonna perfect things basically. So yeah, toxins come from eating stuff. If you eat something like gross or weird, you'll have a little dice roll, a little like chance to gain a mutation from toxins. And so basically what Taff just read are the mutation types that you can get. You can get like an additional like animal body part. You can change one of your body parts to an animal body part. Maybe it'll change your skin color or the texture of your skin. Maybe it'll change your hair color or the color of your nails, your eye color, or even your eye type, right? Like maybe your eye goes from a regular pupil to like a snake kind of pupil or something, right? You could change your organs around, your blood type or your bone type. So that's actually for the translucent sirens. Or, you know, like if you bleed, right? Like if someone like hits you and it shows like the little animation of the blood splatting out, we'll probably do like a quick thing, an easy thing of just changing the texture color, right? Like that's fun and easy to do. It takes like 5 seconds to change a fucking texture color. Why not add it? You know what I mean? Bone type would basically just be a stat. You know, you don't really have to see your bones in the game, so of course like that would just be a fun like stat thing, right? And yeah, so yeah, don't eat weird food. Maybe sometimes it could be from like, oh, you know what, actually I was gonna say medication, but there is actually a thing for medication. I had almost forgotten. So yeah, we can go down to the next thing if you want.
Yeah, sure. Be more than happy to. The broadcast sounds like an interesting one, and then Nequam syndrome. I think you've already mentioned Nequam syndrome, I believe.
Yeah, so a Tetsuom is made from Nequam syndrome, but they aren't zombies. The broadcast will turn you into something similar to a Tetsuom, but you are going to be undead, basically. You'll be like a zombie. You can lose body parts and stuff, and you won't have any like punishment from it. The only problem is if you become like a broadcast minion or monster, you'll be a minion of the broadcaster. The broadcaster is to spoil it basically. I'm sorry for spoiling. You can cut ahead maybe like 30 seconds if you don't want to spoil. The broadcaster is Vex Vivi, who is not Vivi Vex. Vex Vivi is the UFO that Vivi Vex sees in the Reject Him music video, and is also the thing that like possesses Vivi Vex temporarily. And she doesn't do it very well. It's they them. She is kind of like a digital and biological virus that's like this like hive mind mother of evil alien spookiness, edginess, and she doesn't mend well with Nequam syndrome. And so I had made a movie with a band. We might be able to release it. I'm gonna see if I can get permission to release that. But basically, the lore in this movie was that the government kills VVVEX to try and harvest Vex VV virus, the Vex VV character, and who's also the broadcaster, and try and figure out why like she doesn't like mesh well with Nequam syndrome. It's like it gives like a partial immunity to the broadcast. And so they start creating clones out of the dead body of VVVEX and using them as like experiments to see like what's going on. Yeah, I'll say just that basically is like it's kind of based off of that old lore. It's like a fun like little reference to that. So yeah, Vex VV, the broadcaster, is one of the original clones. They call them the Elder clones, all the ones that are like still alive. Some of them are like saints. Some people that are descendants of Elder clones are called saints. There's kind of just like a mixed bag basically, and a lot of confusion, a lot of purposeful confusion. Because that's how real life works, is telephone game and a lot of confusion and a lot of conflicting opinions on things. Do you have any questions on that, or do you want to go to the next thing?
Yeah. So I'm just trying to figure out the timeline between the realms of Dirt universe and the sort of like VVVEX sort of universe, because there's like a long distance between the two.
Oh yeah, there is definitely a long distance. So you know for sure it's a long time, but you will never know how long that really is. So some Elder clones will say it's thousands of years, and other Elder clones will say it's hundreds of thousand years. Some people you can tell are lying and that they don't know, and other people you can tell they just don't know and they're guessing, if that makes sense. And some people will even straight up say like, I don't know, it might be this, it might be that, I don't know. So you'll never really know how far into the future that this is. But this is like, you know, within the same universe. It's basically underground in the VVVEX planet. The VVVEX planet is also called Dirt instead of Earth. I just thought it'd be funny. It's also, I completely forgot this actually until like a few years ago. I had rewatched Rango, and I had forgotten that the town in Rango is called Dirt. And that was one of the inspirations of calling Earth Dirt. Also Urk from Invader Zim. I really like the name of the planet Urk. It just sounds like someone was lazy and was like, make it a name that sounds like Earth. Urk. Okay, hell yeah. Boom. We got like... I think sometimes it's fun to, you know, work really, really, really hard on something, and then another thing, just give it a stupid, shitty, lazy name.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta get around watching Rango.
It's great. It is, it's a really cute movie. The little gecko guy. I think it's Johnny Depp that does the voice. I can't remember.
Yeah. It is Johnny Depp that does the voice, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, cute movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can... You want to move to the next thing?
Sure. We'll move on to the next bit, which is the... I think you've already mentioned Grey Goo, so...
Yeah, Grey Goo gives you Nequam syndrome. And the next one is Corleone miasma. Which, yeah, we've talked about already, too.
Yeah.
Did you have any
There's
extra questions on the Corleone miasma, or are we good on that one?
To be honest, I kind of have a lot of questions about it, but I can't really articulate it, but I don't know how to articulate those questions, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you can ask a few or try to, or... I mean, I'm sure, like, I'll get, like, what you're asking.
What caused the formation of the, mesa, or coraline mesa? What causes this phenomenon within the universe?
No one knows. Yeah, no one knows where it came from. But that secret can be revealed. And I actually almost revealed it earlier. I almost revealed it earlier. So if people want to go back and listen, you might be able to find through me talking and yapping where the Corleone miasma comes from. It's a solvable, that one's a solvable mystery, but only through people like playing the game and not the actual like characters. The characters will never know, but the player will know. You want to go to the next one?
Radiation. Does it just pretty much work how radiation would typically work in fiction? Or...
Kinda, yeah. It works how, like, Fallout works in the, like, Pip-Boy, or not Pip-Boy, the Pip-Boy Vault Tech kind of, depictions, where, like, you know, it shows, like, the little cartoon, why am I saying Pip-Boy, Vault Boy? I'm fucking, hold up, wait. Am I really fucking this up right now? Hold up.
So,
yeah, Vault Boy. Yeah. Vault Boy.
Yeah, so
is the mascot of the Fallout franchise. Creeper.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So you're referring to the mascot Pip, to the the mascot Vault Boy, not the sort of like little sort of computer peripheral thing.
Yeah, he's
Boy,
on
right.
the Pip Boy. He's within. Yeah. He's within the Pip Boy inside. The Vault Boy, when like Vault-Tec shows like depictions of like radiation and stuff, like they always show him like growing like an extra arm or like a tentacle or like something funny like that, and I thought it would be fun to do a few things like that. So and here it says radiation can cause additional body parts, disabled body parts, change size, remove hair, remove nails and or claws, remove horns, remove beaks, remove sight, lower maximum health, or just death. And I thought, like, you know, like we could mix like some real life things of radiation poisoning, like, you know, your hair falls out and your nails fall out, or at least that's what I remember like the rumors being. And you know, for like kind of like animalistic people or people with animal parts, it could remove your claws or remove like your horns or your beaks or etc. So pretty simple. Radiation poisoning, pretty simple stuff. Just cartoony, mixed like with a few like real things.
Yeah, what would be the sort of like most exaggerant sort of cartoony part of
Oh, your mic tap.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I just yeah, for some reason the mic won't keep stable. So
you're good. You're good.
As I was saying, what's
bring
like,
it a little closer.
Yeah. How about now?
Oh yeah, perfect. Now we're back on track.
Right. As I was saying, so basically, so like, what's the most insane sort of part of radiation within the sort of realms of the universe?
I would say, it's pretty tame, honestly. I would say maybe like the first thing written is like maybe like an additional body part, like you grow like an extra arm or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I would say that's probably the most like crazy thing that'll happen to you. It's radiation poisoning is pretty tame compared to the other mutations.
Yeah. I want to move on to the next question. Basically, could you just explain a bit about the enchanted oil?
Oh, absolutely. This is one of my favorite things. This is Aaron's favorite thing too. Aaron, by the way, plays Dr. Coxey in the band. That's the mad scientist lady, and she's also played the surgeon in some of the TikTok videos, and also the surgeon in the short film The Broadcaster's Dilemma. So basically, yeah, Aaron and I love this. Basically, enchanted oil is like oil spill oil, but it's a sci-fi fantasy version of that, and it causes something like well, like what is the special term for the disease for werewolf is like lycanthropy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in this we have slimecanthropy, and you become a were-slime, which is basically like you become this like slimy like jello humanoid thing, but you're oil, kind of like the villain from Fern Gully, right? And it's kind of like having this like vampire form. You're now like that all the time, but you can have a werewolf transformation, and that is the were-slime blob and the were-slime cube. Kind of like being able to play as a gelatinous cube in Dungeons and Dragons, right? I love when people can play as a gelatinous cube. I also think it's fun when people make like D&D homebrews and people get to play as like a funny or fun kind of gelatinous cube character that has like maybe a personality or something. I think I had watched a D&D playthrough. Maybe someone can comment what it's called because I forget, but there was like a wrestling themed D&D campaign that people put on YouTube, and someone was a gelatinous cube, and it was a really cute and funny character if I remember right. But yeah, she was a very cool gelatinous cube character, and I was like, thinking like it would be fun to put gelatinous cube into the game, and also being able to play as like some kind of werewolf thing. And I was like, well, why not the gelatinous cube be the werewolf? Like, that sounds fun. That could be like your Skyrim werewolf transformation, but also mix it with being a vampire, right? So when you don't turn into the gelatinous cube, when you're done, instead of turning back into a human, you're like this like oil like human thing. Like you're like a humanoid like oil monster thing, like Fern Gully. Have you ever seen Fern Gully?
I've seen clips of it, but I don't remember much of the plot, to be honest.
Let me see if oh, your mic again is going out, but I think I heard that.
Yeah. So as I was as I was saying, I think I know what the film's about, and I've seen clips of it, but I don't think I've seen the full film itself.
Here we go. Hexus. Hexus from Fern Gully. He's sometimes steam, like evil black smog steam stuff, right? But then other times he's like a humanoid, gooey guy, sometimes with like skeletal features. Like sometimes he's got like a skull and like a rib cage with like goo around him and stuff. Hexus is a fantastic, evil, spooky, but also like kind of like something kind of like charming about him, with his villainy. You know how like some villains just kind of have that like glamour to them, you know, like there's something kind of glamorous about them. Um, yeah, Hexus is very much that. He's this very like glamorous character. I don't like a lot of musicals, but the guy who does the voice for Hexus, fantastic voice. I think it's the same guy who did the main character from what is the movie, the Transylvanian transvestite,
I think.
Rocky Horror. Tim
Are
Curry?
you on about? Yeah, Tim
Tim
Curry.
Curry.
Yeah,
Tim
yeah,
Curry.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, I think Hexus was voiced by Tim Curry. But yeah, being a were-slime is kind of like being Hexus in your humanoid form. It is Tim Curry. So yeah, and when you have your transformation, you can turn either into a blob, and we might do a few references to the Blob, the movie, and then other times you can be a gelatinous cube, like Dungeons and Dragons. But you'll be this like oil kind of version of it, an oil spill version of that. I think that would be really fun. So yeah, were slimes, very rare. Some people don't even think that they exist. Some people have never even heard of the rumor of were slimes. So when you are a were slime, you know, you could wear like hoods and like cloaks and stuff, kind of like playing as Nosferatu or something in Vampire the Masquerade, right? And you can get away with going to the cities and towns and talking to people and trading and doing these things and stuff, kind of like when you're a Tetsuom, right? Like, and even in some places you won't need to hide that you're a Tetsuom. I'm thinking maybe Frax and like a lot of the rundown kind of areas, and also the like the sewer slum of Frax. I think I don't think people would give a shit with how like mutated people are in the sewer slums. Like if you're like some like talking robot with plants and shit like growing out of you. I think even there too, I don't think people are gonna care if you're a were slime in a humanoid form. If you were a gelatinous cube, then people would probably freak the fuck out and attack you. But yeah, you know, there'll be places like where you can, you know, get away with that, right? And even like kind of like spooky criminal clubs and like an assassin's guild or a thieves guild or something like that, right? Like gangs, being in like the hood and stuff, like any kind of slum or ghetto. I think like where there's like a lot of rougher people, they're not gonna give a shit. You know, like if you're like humanoid slime thing or like a fucking robot, they're just like whatever. Like, what's up? Like, I can kick your ass. Don't fuck with me. You know, like, you gonna buy something or what? Like, yeah. So yeah. Any like questions or anything?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to have a think.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, no, it's just quite a lot of lore to take in.
Yeah. Yeah, we are really lore dumping.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of thinking. So a lot of the questions I'm thinking of are just coming up on the spot. Sometimes it's just. Sometimes I, to be honest. Yeah. What was essentially the decision to go with were slime instead of like werewolves?
You know, originally I thought, you know, like I need some kind of like were creature, but I didn't want to do werewolf. Originally I was like, okay, well what if like gnolls can turn into like some kind of werewolf thing, and like you know, like sirens turn into like creature of the lagoon, and like maybe like you know, like gorgons can turn into like some like reptile form of a werewolf. And that came from you know, seeing like Skyrim and being and Morrowind even being disappointed that like, you know, an Argonian character just turns into a fucking werewolf, right? Like, and not like some like werecroc or weregator or something like cool and reptilian.
Yeah. Wait, how come? What? It doesn't do. I never
No.
played an Argonian. It doesn't even do that. It just turns you into a werewolf.
Yep. Yeah, you go from
no,
being reptilian to a mammal.
No, that doesn't make sense. They could have made like a way.
It's a time thing. It's time and implementation, and like paying model makers for more models. So I was like, yeah. I was like, well, how do I turn everybody into one thing and save, you know, money and time and implementation time? You know, because sometimes I'm doing implementation myself. For something this technical, I probably wouldn't be doing implementation. A lot of my implementation work is like, you know, level design assets because I'm a level designer. But you know, like from my work in level design and implementation for level design, I see how like time consuming and how much work implementation can be on like a grander scale. And so, you know, I was thinking about that and thinking about like that fun like wrestling D&D campaign that was on YouTube where someone was like a slime, but like she was like really cool. Yeah, and I was like, well, okay, what if like, or not a slime, but a gelatinous cube, and she was really nice. It was a gelatinous cube woman, and she was in like a wrestling themed D&D campaign, and I was like, well, what if that was my werewolf, a gelatinous cube? And I was like, slime, like it's a funny kind of name. Some of the names in the game are kind of funny, like on purpose and silly. Like it's got that like Invader Zim, Rick and Morty kind of like sound to it. Like the classic cartoon, like Alien Bleep Blurp, you know, kind of name. Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, you can't just like be a normal person and then like turn into a slime. Like I feel like being something like that, like I feel like you'd have to always be visually different. And so that's when I came up with the idea of, okay, what if you're like, when you're not in your gelatinous cube form as a slime, what if you're like, you know, a humanoid form but like gooey, you know? And then it could play like a Nosferatu vampire. Like you have to always hide yourself when you're in like places, unless you're in like the hood or something and people just aren't gonna give a shit.
So mind if I just mention the contaminated drugs which causes an additional animal body part but only for bugs?
Okay, yeah. That one's pretty simple. Yeah. Contaminated drugs. I like the idea of like getting additional body parts from different hazards, like, you know, like how toxins give you an additional like land animal body part, right? And like radiation just gives you regular additional body parts. And having things kind of feel like specially placed and stuff, right? So yeah, contaminated drugs will give you like an additional like insectoid body part, or maybe even change a body part to an insectoid part. Like maybe you'll get and I forgot to put that in, but maybe you'll get like, you know, a bug eye or something like that, or both your eyes will be like insectoid from taking like contaminated drugs, and that will be the result of that. But yeah, that one's pretty simple. Did you have any questions about that one?
Nah, I think that pretty much explains it.
Yeah, that one's like, out of all of them, contaminated drugs are probably like the easiest and most like self-explanatory. So
Yeah.
yeah, the next one is gray goo, classic fun gray goo, and that is also another additional animal body part, but aquatic. The idea came from when Fry went into the sewers, and he like became this like blob of horror and like tentacles and gross stuff. And I had already like been separating the additional animal body part mutations into different things, and you know, I was thinking of Fallout actually, and how like, you know, the gray goo vats of FEV can turn you into like a super mutant, or they can turn you into a centaur if there's like extra animals. Harold became his own unique mutant. The Master became his own like unique mutant. And so, you know, I was already separating things. I was like, well, what if green goo, sorry, not gray goo, what if green goo, you know, made you into, you know, like, or not made you into, but gave you like, you know, fishy kind of things. And so you could, you know, see into the background on the stream, for people who are watching or anyone who watches in the future. You can see there is like a mutated like turtle with hydra heads, and you can see the heads are all different, and it's coming out of green goo, but you can also see there's the bioluminescent plankton. So at some point, the water has mixed with this green goo. So yeah, if you fall into green goo, you'll get like little fishy parts, or dolphin parts, or whale, or alligator, crocodiles, amphibians, or even like little tentacles and stuff like that. You know, like basically classic silly additional body parts, but aquatic themed. Do you have any questions on that one?
Not. So theoretically, you could become an Inkling from Splatoon. I'm sorry, that was a silly question.
Oh, hi, we got a new person in here. This is streaming, by the way. I don't know if you're cool with that. This is streaming publicly. Yeah, we're doing a public stream together.
Okay.
So, no, not really. If you want something like the Splatoon people, that would be basically just the siren species themselves. They're the people who can grow like little fishy things for hair, or even we're the Taft. Do you remember the blue people from Mass Effect? How they also had like tentacle kind of hair as well.
Oh yeah. I think I know what species you're on about, but I can't remember the name of it specifically.
Can you bring your mic closer?
Yeah. I think I know the species that you're on about, but I don't remember the name of that alien species.
Here, let's type in Mass Effect races. Yeah, it's the Asari. Yeah, I accidentally made a few references to Asari for Sirens. And yeah, because I had only played Mass Effect 1, that was a long time ago. So there were things that I had like misremembered and basically added into their inspiration, which I think is fun and fantastic. I think it's great to kind of misremember things, or subconsciously remember something and put that into your art. There's also so yeah, they can have hair like that. They can have hair like the Splatoon people, or even what's the Star Wars race that has like the two tentacle things from their head?
The ones like Jar Jar, or I don't know. That's the only one I know of.
Let's see. Let me look on Google Images. Doesn't seem to be coming up on regular Google. They're like the most popular one. Star Wars races. Twi'lek. Yeah, the Twi'lek. They have like two like tentacle things. Yeah, as a Siren player, you can have that. You can have like Splatoon hair. you can have like a bunch of like aquatic things. Everyone can have aquatic mutations, but sirens have like the most aquatic mutations, and they also have
Okay.
unique aquatic
So
mutations like aquatic hair, and things like that. So no other species can have like aquatic themed like hairstyles and stuff. They're always gonna
okay,
have
that's
regular
cool.
hair.
So it could be like a siren octopus or siren squid is basically what I'm hearing. Because like that's what the
Kind
Splatoon
of.
species are.
Kind of. I would. I mean, we. If you want to like look back at like some of the like older parts of the stream, you can. There's a lot of lore that we just discussed. So there's like a lot like. We also need to get through with too, and move on to. But kind of basic TLDR kind of. But not really, not exactly. You can't be like a full-on like octopus. You can have like octopus parts, or like octopus kind of like themed things. But yeah, not like a full-on like octopus. You know, because like it's not only a TTRPG, but also it's going to be a video game. And there's already like the like species models like already done for the sake of like implementation money and time, because I'm spending like my actual like day job money on this. I can't do stuff like that because then, you know, like you'd have to change like armor, you'd have to change this, you'd have to change that. Like it would just be too much basically. That basically goes also back to the wear slime implementation thing as well. Why I chose wear slime, why we're going to be doing that instead of like a unique like werewolf for like every species, because like that's just really costly. That's a lot of money. It costs a shit ton of money to like pay people to do models and stuff, and I don't want to do models myself. That's a lot of work. Yeah. My thing is level design. I'm a level designer, and I do implementation for level design. Level design is basically like what I do in level design, at least, is like I do like interior and exterior housing stuff, like making like cities, houses, towns, things like that, and also like dungeons. I'm a dungeon designer. That's what I started with too, was dungeon design.
Sorry to be a pain, but in the mutations channel, I think you've misspelled the word Wales. You spelled
That's
it
right.
as in the country.
I did.
Wait,
yeah, I did. I noticed that just now. There's no fucking H. And welcome to the country of Wales, everybody. If you fall into green goo, you will turn into Taft's country. I'm very sorry.
You're turning it. Oh god, that would be horrifying, turning into a Welsh person. I couldn't think of anything more
Shut
scarier.
up. You turn into the entire country, with Taft living on you, inside of like the little microcosm, I guess. You'd be the macrocosm to the microcosm. No, okay. Too deep lore. Anyway, okay. Let's, so we're gonna move on to the next thing. Let's see. We could do, do you want to do like religions or something next, or maybe like the zodiac science?
Oh, I want to talk about the religions in the lore.
Oh, you got it. All right. So, do you want to start at the top?
Hang on, I just gotta wait for it to sort of. Yep, I'll start at the top.
All right.
Electrism sounds interesting, so I'm just going to read that. Generator religions believe that God is electricity. When you die, you go to current forever and live with the electricity god Jen. In this religion, practicing mysticism, high magic, and chaos magic is evil, and priests are used for miracles and blessings instead. In this religion, practicing mysticism, high magic, and chaos magic is evil.
Oh, I accidentally copy pasted that. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So I was one. Yeah, sorry about that. I was also in autopilot.
No, you're good. You can skip to the next sentence isn't copy pasted.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just trying to skim over that just to double check. All right, where were we? There's an offshoot of this religion that allows of mysticism, but it's not much is known about it. There are books to prove that their practice is the basis for most occult practices in the Western Ring, but many books have been hidden due to bigotry from Gary worshippers. Ooh, what?
So we'll
Who
actually
are the
move.
Gary?
We'll move to that very next. So Elysianity is the belief that Jen is God, but also that his mortal son is Gary, and he is also God. The staff are demons, angels, and saints. When good people die, they go to current. When bad people die, their electric souls burn out and vel. They believe in a devil named Shade, sometimes spelled as that cool like A and E mixed letter from like Leather Strip. That's always what I associate it with, is fucking Leather Strip. So shout out to any more industrial music fans out there. We're packing it in.
Yeah. So, like, for the actual game itself, are you thinking of, like, implementing a sort of score for it?
A sort of what?
You know, like how most like games have like a soundtrack or like
A score. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually have a song like posted on YouTube where I think it was Gabriel did percussion and I did like synth and stuff over it. But yeah, the soundtrack is going to be pretty varied. And also the soundtrack is God, how do I describe this? You remember how in like Banjo-Tooie, you heard the same theme song when you were walking around in the overworld, but when you would walk up to the little ports that would bring you to like the different worlds, the music would be the same song but in a different like style. Like when you walked up to like the pirate port to go to the pirate world, it would play the same song but like the piratey version. And then when you went to like witchy world entrance, the little port to go to the witchy world world, it was like this like clowny like carnival version of the song, and you know, like etc etc, right? Do you remember that?
I don't think I've played much of Banjo-Tooie, to be honest. So, but
that's
that
okay.
but that does sound like a pretty cool concept for a
Yeah.
soundtrack.
So we'll be doing something kind of like that, but it's a little bit similar to that. So you're not gonna have the same theme song over and over when you're in like the wilderness or town and stuff, right? There will be other songs, and when you go from like, let's say like a town to the wilderness, and let's say like there's maybe like 5 songs, right? And you're listening to song 4. When you go into the wilderness, there will be a wilderness version of song 4. It'll like kind of transition into that. And how we're going to like keep on that vibe is basically how the music changing for like Skyrim works. It works based off of like the weather system, and areas, and even like external areas. So in Creation Engine, different areas are called cells. There's exterior cells and interior cells, and when you're outside in the exterior world in Skyrim, you're in multiple cells, right? Like when you leave Riverwood, you're in a different cell, but you're still in the big exterior area. So you can actually like go in and make it to where the music will change. And music changes a lot of things, or things change a lot of music. Sorry, different like weather patterns and stuff. When it's raining and stuff, when it's nighttime, and it's just the music is so ambient in Skyrim that you don't notice. But when you open up Creation Kit, you can see that there's different playlists for all of these different like events and things and stuff. And we're going to be doing that on a smaller scale. It'll be a little bit more noticeable. You know, like we don't have the same budget to be doing it on this big grand scale. So we will be doing it, but like on a smaller scale, and it'll be a little bit more noticeable. But we are going to be doing like little music tricks to make that noticeable stuff like fun and not like annoying and repetitive, basically. One example is when you walk out of town into the wilderness, you will have like stripped down versions of songs. That's to save money, so I don't have to like hire someone like 5 million times to play like a udu drum or something, right? Or how about like gosh, what's the other drum? Gabriel played it. I can't remember, but it's a fantastic drum. It's one of my favorite drums, actually. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank right now. The Shekere. The Shekere is such a great fucking drum, dude. The Shekere, I feel, is great for swamp areas because the Shekere is basically this like African drum that's covered in these cool like shells and stuff, and it has this like shaky sound and a water drop sound similar to an udu. An udu sometimes has like a whoop whoop kind of almost like a tabla bayan from India. In India, those like two famous drums that you hear all the time, the big one and the little one. The little one is the tabla, the big one is the tabla bayan. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I'm really sorry to Jessica, especially. Actually, I'm sure that's not her real name, but Pizzica, I think, is what she's calling herself right now. But you know, she's from India. I'm so sorry for pronouncing that wrong. But the tabla bayan has a cool water droplet sound, and so does the Shekere. And I feel like a Shekere is more appropriate for a game that's based off of the southeast of the United States and like the Bible Belt area, you know, like an area that's like Florida mixed with like Louisiana and like Mississippi and Georgia and all these places, kind of like, you know, they're all mixed and smashed together. You know, there is a big African presence, and I think it would, you know, be kind of like dumb and weird to like not hire like African musicians and have African like instruments. You know, like imagine having like a New Orleans game and there's no black people, or there's no African influence, there's no voodoo. That just sounds stupid. Like, so yeah, we have a Shekere. It's fantastic, and I've been directing it in these like ways that like I feel like it kind of fits in a sound way. So like a Shekere has this kind of like, you know, shaky kind of sound. It makes me think of when you're going through water, right? So I thought like, okay, the swamp areas, swamp towns and stuff definitely need like a Shekere. And I also think like a lot of places need congas, bongos, and stuff like that. And a lot of, I feel like, drier places need like a clave, need you know, like a conga and stuff. It's a drier sounding drum. So when you're in a forest town and not a swamp town, you're gonna hear a lot more like congas. You're gonna hear a lot of like claves and stuff like that. Everything kind of has like a more wood kind of sound, right? And when you're in like places like Frax and stuff, you can have like your radio and listen to like radio bands and stuff like that, or you can listen to the soundtrack, and that'll have maybe like more cowbell and be kind of more like not just like African influences, but also more just like a cultural mix. Like there will be a lot of like, I guess like a lot of more like mestizo sounds. There will be Spanish sounds. There will be indigenous sounds as well. You're gonna hear a lot of like Latin music, right? You're gonna hear a lot of it's gonna be a lot of different instruments and a lot of different influences, and that's how the soundtrack will work. Wow, that is a hardcore digression from talking about the religion lore and stuff. I'm so sorry for my long-winded thing about music. I really like music.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's kind of my fault for throwing it off topic.
Oh, you're good. You're good. You want to move to the next religion? We'll talk about the Gary worship stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Elicism and Elysianity is basically kind of like Judaism and Christianity, right? And Elcom is basically like Islam, right? It's like the belief that like Jen is God, but like his mortal son is like Mu instead of Gary, but Gary is still like a prophet, right? And they still believe in a shade, they still believe like in a Vel and stuff like that, and in all three of these practices, things like practicing magic, and like occult stuff, that's scary and bad. That's like they usually, a lot of these people, when they meet people like that, they're dealing with a lot of pretty bad stuff, serial killers and things like that. Kind of like you're like bodunk, rednecky, kind of like edgy teenager theistic Satanist that will go out like in real life, and commit a murder or kill somebody's dog or cat or something like that. That's usually what they're going to think of, which is going to start like a lot of satanic panics. But then you're going to have theistic Satanist kind of characters that are more just kind of like edgy pagans and normal people that are good people and stuff, right? And same with like regular pagans and stuff, and people will have like these bigotries and stuff towards each other, through either like misinformation, real life crime that doesn't speak for everybody, because everyone's committed crime from every culture and stuff. So there will be people who even think like people of Elysianity are terrible. They're all terrible people. There's going to be even atheists, right, that are like the edgy atheists that think like everyone who is a part of the Elysianity religion is evil and terrible and stuff, right? It's going to be a mixed bag. It's going to be everything everywhere. But yeah, we can go to the next one. We've basically got the Abrahamic religions. The next one is just the mysticism version of these Abrahamic religions. Just like, Judaism has Kabbalah, right? And I think, what is the mysticism for Islam? I think it's Sufism. And then, Christianity, of course, has, Christian mysticism and also Gnosticism, right? You'll have basically versions of that where people practice mysticism. Other people will call it magic and stuff. And, and then, of course, you have shadism. You have some people that are atheistic shadists, and theistic shadists. So you kind of have your all your Abrahamic kind of inspired religions. They'll have like a few other like weird influences, and things to like make them unique, but they're essentially just kind of a stand-in for those religions, and there's good and bad people for all of them.
Yeah. I do kind of greatly appreciate that you've depicted religion in a very nuanced manner. Because,
Yeah, I hate when someone's like, oh, everyone from this one religion is bad. Or like when atheists are like, all religion bad, only atheism good. Or even like when people are like, all atheists are bad. Like, no, like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, you can read the next one. It's Wicca. It's basically Wicca.
You've got, I think, did you mention shadism earlier?
Yeah, there's the self-worshipping atheists, and then the theistic shadists who like they actually believe in a shade. Some of them are good. They're just kind of basically like edgy hippies, just like in real life. Like some theistic Satanists they're just edgy hippies. Like they're just like spooky
Yeah.
themed pagans, right? And then some theistic Satanists are like full on like criminals and like terrible people, like Order of Nine Angels in real life, right?
Right.
Yeah, like the full on like weird neo-Nazis and shit like that. So yeah, there'll be a lot of different versions of shadism in this game.
Yeah, I'm just gonna move on to the Witcher religion. Worship the green giants known as Father Time and Mother Mong. Moon? Yeah, hang on. I'm just trying to make sure that I've pronounced it right.
Yeah, Moon or Mong. There'll probably be different pronunciations of it, so whatever you want to pronounce it as.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pronounce it as Moon.
Okay.
Mother of Nature. Moon is a phrase for the sun dims for night. Is a phase where the sun dims for night. It is believed that the sun's body hosts both the mother and father. The images of the gods are taken from old vegetable packing. They believe the green giants on the packaging were farm gods who helped teach the old farming world and industry. The staff and people of the old world are said to have become dirt spirits who watch over us. Staff worships at... Ooh. Hang on, but I was getting a bit carried away. I don't really know a lot about the real life inspiration for the Witcher religion, the Wicca religion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like Wicca. What do you want to know
Wicca.
about it?
Just what it is, essentially. I know it has something to do with the practice of witchcraft, and I know it's a pagan religion, but I just want to know what it is about.
Wicca in real life, was started, I think his name is Gerald Gardner, and it was started like around the 50s, maybe, and basically, it's a hodgepodge of different historical, like, Western European occult practices, and ceremonial magic, also known as high magic. And ceremonial magic is basically ritual magic, like when you have things that celebrate like the seasons and stuff like that, and you throw this like big theater for your party. The theater basically that you put on is a ritual. A lot of rituals are basically art. It's theater and art to represent things. And so Wicca in real life was basically people like attempting to put like all of these like old historical occult like plays and stuff, high magic ceremonial rituals together, and just basically just trying to like get like back in touch with their roots, their European roots, and a lot of it was very Western European focused. So basically like where you're from, Wales, and England and Scotland and Ireland and stuff. It's a lot of that, but then also Northern Europe as well. It taps into some like Norse pagan beliefs and stuff, and they try and kind of like incorporate everything into like one hodgepodge, basically. So like in Wicca, you had like your moon goddesses, which were basically all like avatars of like one goddess, and then you had your boy god. Let me see what he was. Let me type in Wicca gods. Yeah, the Great Mother, who is the moon lady, basically. That's why you see like the different moon phases on like witchcraft symbols, and like stuff like that, and Wiccan stuff. And then there's also the Horn God. The Horn God, I'm guessing, is probably based off of Pan. And Pan was also, I remember, an important figure in Thelema as well. Like the resurgence of Pan is Pan Greek or Roman? I can't remember. Pan god is a Greek god. Yeah, Pan is a Greek god. And basically, the horn god in Wicca, is basically an amalgamation of like Pan and like other gods. It's just people trying to make sense of like old historical things, basically. It's hippie stuff. I mean, hippie stuff that's like, Wiccans are not as toxic as hippies. There's a lot of Wiccans that are pretty toxic, but there's a lot of Wiccans that are pretty normal people. They're pretty chill. I enjoy Wiccans, the good ones. I think a lot of like, I think Wicca gets a bad rep, kind of like furries and juggalos. They are kind of the furries and juggalos of the occult world. Unfortunately, a lot of them are just people who just want to chill and like enjoy nature, and embrace that and like culturally, basically. So basically, I've turned like the horn god into the green giant. That's also based off of like the Jolly Green Giant packaging. Yeah, and so they look at like the old like staff food packaging, and they're like, okay, these people aren't gods, because look at this like great big green guy on all of their packaging. Like their food packaging, this must be some kind of like symbolic thing. Maybe it's spiritual. Maybe there's something spiritually important about this, and so that eventually turned into, in their version of the 50s, which is a fairly new religion. It's not as old as like staff worship and like sun worship. It's basically like a lot of nature-focused religious people who are trying to like in realms of dirt's modern times, like kind of like amalgamate things together, just like how Gerald Gardner and friends did. What was his name? Gerald Gardner, I think. Who made Wicca? Gerald Gardner. Yeah, what a perfect name, by the way, for the guy who made Wicca. It's so like so perfect. So we could probably safely move on to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to do the next one, or you want me to do the next one?
Can I do it?
Yeah, of course.
So we're going to be on discussing staff worship and neo-pagans, which is inspired by neo-paganism. Where do they go? Nobody knows. Some ritual people believe only the staff are gods. Some sects of this religion believe the staff were the same people from the old world and became gods. Others believe that the staff killed off the people of the old worlds for their misdeeds. Sorry about my
No, you're good.
hiccup.
Yeah, so staff worship, just like neo-paganism, there's a lot of different like sects of it, and a lot of different like beliefs and stuff, right? So that's why they have a lot of different theories on who and what the staff are religiously. Like just like it says, like some people think like they were mortals that became gods. Some people think they were always gods. Some people think like, they killed off the mortals that came before all of us, as punishment, like that they were bad. And this also actually kind of goes into different theories of shade, the devil, and like realms of dirt's like Abrahamic kind of religions. They kind of have similar beliefs that there were a group of people that did some really bad things, and they were punished for that, just like how people believe Shade was punished. And some people think that Shade is immortal and still alive, along with like his crew of like evil staff members. and the good staff members are somewhere above us, and sometimes even below us, looking for a shade, and the evil staff members and looking to fight them. And so you'll get neo-pagans that kind of believe a similar thing, that there's like there's an evil bad guy out there, and the staff are looking for the evil bad guy and trying to liberate the world from that. You want to move to the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sun worship, which is inspired by
Thelema. Thelema is Aleister
Right.
Crowley's religion. So yeah, sun worship is a little bit Thelema. It's sometimes just a hodgepodge of different Western esoteric practices and beliefs. Sometimes it's Gnosticism. Sometimes it's this, it's that. But yeah, you can go ahead and read it.
Yeah. So, Western sun worshippers believe that other gods are psychic projections that can be used to gain power through evoking or even analysing and reinventing rituals and practices from everyone in the realms of dirt. They believe that the closest thing to the god is the sun. They believe that the sun is made of souls and psychic energy that reflect back to us, like a massive battery that we give and take energy from. Upper class sun worshippers practice high magic, whilst the lower classes practice chaos magic. I just wanna. Can you explain more about the inspiration behind sun worship?
Yeah. So, sun worship, comes like,
Sorry, you're breaking up?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay. The inspiration for sun worship, it comes from a lot of different things. This one's very hodgepodge. But like the idea of like analyzing and reinventing rituals and practices from every like wing in the realms of dirt. The wings are the areas, by the way. Like the western wing would be west, would be like Europe, and like the far west wing would be like, the America area, right? Or maybe some people call Europe the center wing, etc. Or some people will call the eastern wing, like that's the Asian places, and the southern wing would be maybe the African or South American places. Like it might change. It might also just change like culturally, because like old like Chinese beliefs, like people called China the center kingdom, right? They were like, we're in the middle. Other people were like, no, we're in the middle, right? So in English, in realms of dirt, it'll likely be like, the west wing will probably be like America, the center wing will probably be like Europe, etc., etc. And so Aleister Crowley and people from Thelema basically like looked at magic and religious beliefs in a scientific lens, kind of, and they basically would like analyze rituals and magic from like every culture and every religion, and then try and like break down like the methods from that and reinvent it into what they felt was a more like scientifically sound, I guess, like version of the ritual, like trying to like break out the cultural stuff and say like, okay, well the point of doing this is to get that. How do I break this apart and make a more basic functional form of this to get that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it do kind of sound like the idea of applying the scientific method, but to like more supernatural sort of stuff and more sort of like spiritual stuff. That does sound interesting.
Yeah, I like that too. I'm not a Thelemite, and of course, Aleister Crowley, born a long time ago and is a bad person. But you know, he had a very interesting approach to magic, and I think it was, you know, kind of really neat to approach magic in this like scientific kind of manner and say like, well, what's actually going on here? Do any of these things work? If they do, how do we deconstruct it and make it work more efficiently? And with that, do you want to move to the next one?
Yeah, sure. Gnosticism. In this religion, all gods are evil and careless peeps who seek psychic power through worship. Accepting that you are merely one with the glow is to seek enlightenment. To unlock the glow's power is to achieve enlightenment. It is said that nobody has achieved true enlightenment yet, but the living beings must seek to achieve it anyways. If you are said to reach enlightenment, after death your soul merges with the glow forever. Can you explain to me what the glow is in a bit more detail?
So the glow in Gnosticism is basically the evil side of sun worship. Sun worshippers can sometimes be like evil without being glow sticks. Glow sticks. Some glow sticks aren't evil, but it is a kind of like an evil themed religion to think that like everything bad, every god bad, material world bad, it's all bad, we have to destroy everything. It's kind of like this like hyper evil version of like rejecting the material world in both the Western and Eastern viewpoints. So like Buddhism and Gnosticism, an evil version of Buddhism and Gnosticism, kind of like the Thalmor from Elder Scrolls. How basically like, you know, many high elves believe that they basically descended from the Aedra. They have a Gnostic kind of outlook, but not all high elves are evil. But the Thalmor basically take that religious view and turn it into an evil thing where they basically plan to destroy all of reality and just destroy everyone so that they can basically enslave everybody in the afterlife. That's essentially the goal of the Thalmor. And so that is essentially the goal of many evil like people who follow Gnosticism. And Gnosticism goes hand in hand with sun worship, so the glow is the glow from the sun and the moon, basically.
Anyway, I'd like to discuss Helpy, which is basically Lord. Yeah, Lord.
I think you're familiar with that, aren't you?
Yeah. But I hope you don't mind just explaining it to someone who,
Of course.
to, like our listeners, though.
Yeah. Go ahead and read it.
A large cult in the alternative communities, the subculture cult. They worship a smiling AI. They seem to be getting scammed.
So, Helpy is kind of like, that's worshipping Helper. Helper is the, emoji that's, like, on all of the VVVEX iconography. Her name is Helper, and she thinks that she is the original, VVVEX, that, like, she believes that, VVVEX's mind before dying was like her conscious was like downloaded digitally, and she thinks that she's that digital version of like downloaded version of VVVEX's mind, and she's fucking nuts. And by the time that, you know, like Realms of Dirt takes place, she's a little bit more crazy, and in fun like comical ways. And so Helpy is her religion. It is House of Ev's loyal psychic youth. And it's not only inspired by Topi, the Temple of Psychic Youth, It's also inspired by like Church of the Subgenius, and also
Oh
like
yeah. That was the
yeah,
first. That was the first thing that came to mind when you mentioned that.
hell yeah, yeah. It's that it's Temple of Psychic Youth, it's Church of the Subgenius, and it's also Discordianism. All just kind of like wrapped up in a nice little bundle. We may make like offshoot religions. Right now it's just me writing like everything. I wrote all the religions. I wrote like 99.9% of the lore. I wrote all the species. I wrote the timeline. I wrote like everything pretty much. Aubrey came in and basically helped me write like lore for people with dwarfism and stuff. And Tarek at one point came in and like wrote themselves in like a cool like little tribe and stuff. They wanted to be in the game and play like a campaign, and I was like, I'm just gonna canonize this because this is fun. So yeah, I made the world, and maybe at some point I will write offshoots of Helpy. Maybe at some point I'll even write offshoots of Helpy with like other people. I really don't mind writing with other people, especially now that like the lore is like pretty established. I've had my vision kind of come to life, and so it would be kind of fun to have other people step in and be like, well, maybe this happened at some point, like kind of taking what I've made and writing with it and seeing like where that goes. I think that would be really fun, and it'd be fun to do that with the Helpy cult. I would love to bring in some like other musicians and artists and stuff, and we could make like fun little things that like Helper can do with the Helpy religion. But yeah, it's all of those things. The smiling AI is is Helper. It's just Helper. And yeah, the next one is atheism. Atheists just, they believe that everyone either evolved from the staff or that the staff left in hopes that their creation would die off after BC. Right now we're living in AD and BC. BC means before Chloralone, the Chloralone miasma, which that's Chloralone, like the Skinny Puppy song. It is a reference to that. And then AD is after disaster, basically. So yeah, you're living in AD right now. And then the next one is just the magic stuff. You can read that if you want.
Ooh. High magic, chaos magic, and mysticism. The goal of most occult practices is to achieve an empty mind, to bypass the conscious mind, to create change in accordance to one's will. High magic is expensive, precise, and scientific. The rich and powerful learn these practices through secret clubs and groups. Chaos magic practitioners believe that magic has no laws and that the magical science experiments are used to gatekeep the poor. Mystic practitioners believe in loose laws of magic that can change over time through collective will, events, and nature.
Yep, and we can, I can answer questions on that, but first, let's read How to Magica, for everybody.
Magica isn't... Sorry, I just accidentally hit mute as I was saying. Magica isn't for combat in this game like most sort of role-playing sort of games. Instead, it's used for stories. You can use Magica as a way to request that the DM add something to the story or your character that's extra strange, unlikely, silly, or cool.
Yeah, and so in the video game, your mutant powers will act as like magic, right? Your superpowers. Same thing in the TTRPG. It'll act as like, you can still be a mage kind of, but it won't be like a magical thing. You can have a magical outlook on your powers, but your powers don't come from magic. And yeah, instead basically magic are these kind of like loose like story kind of like things. They're things used for the story. So, of course, like, you know, as Taff has read, for the TTRPG, using magic would basically just be you requesting to the DM, like, hey, like, I really want this event to happen, or I don't want this character to die. Like, I worked really hard on making this character, and I really, really like this character. I don't want this character to die. You can have a miracle happen, you can have this happen. If you want some, like, funny event to happen, and the whole group is like, yeah, that sounds, like, really fun and cool. You know, like, the DM basically, because of magic, should let that happen, and let people have a good time, basically. That is the magic of roleplay, right? Like, it's not just about, like, you know, your DM giving you this world, like, and your DM taking, like, full control of the world. But the magic of playing a roleplay game is also to satisfy the group, right? Like, you're there to entertain people, to give people, you know, like, a chance to have fun, and roleplay and have a good time. That is, haha, the magic of roleplay. And to now get back to the different types of magic and any questions, did you have, like, any questions on, like, the different types of magic?
Oh, yeah. So, basically, I'd like to know more about how chaos magic works within the realms of dirt.
Okay. So, as you've read, chaos magic practitioners believe that magic has no laws, and that magical science experiments are used to gatekeep the poor. So, chaos magic, in real life, basically has, like, similar, concepts. It's kind of like the anti-scientific approach to Thelema. They do sometimes take, like, a scientific approach, just like Thelema, because it's, you know, it's still very a post-Thelemic practice, like a lot of modern magic. But, like, how do I explain? They basically believe that, like, magic is a lot more loose, and that it's, like, psychic powers. And so that's kind of the same thing in Realms of Dirt, is that, like, the concept of magic is, it's psychic powers, and that is how you are changing, like, the world in accordance to one's will, is, you doing it with your brain power, and not, like, you know, some kind of, like, uncovered, like, occult, you know, hidden thing, right? There's nothing that's, like, super occulto about it. It's just more like, do what you want. Brain power. If you believe it, you can manifest it, right? That's chaos magic in a nutshell in real life and in the game. So how that would work in the game with you asking the DM is basically like, you know, like, my character is a chaos magic practitioner. I really want this, like, fun thing to happen in the game. Can we say it's because of chaos magic? And that's basically how everything will work, you know, like, the DM will have to say, like, oh, okay, you're a chaos magician, so, you know, you sat on a whoopee cushion, and now there's a fucking hydra, like, that, like, bursted out of, like, the cavern walls or something, and has become basically, I think it's a Deus Ex in writing. Let me, like, look that up. Deus Ex, meaning, unexpected power or event that's, saving a seamlessly hopeless situation, basically, right? So if there's, like, a super hopeless situation, and your characters are kind of, like, pigeonholed in this, that is basically your magical way to, like, fix the story, fix the campaign, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all three of these are they're just different flavors of basically fixing, like, a fucked up campaign or adding something fun. You know, like, if people get kind of bored and, you know, everyone's like, I wish the funny lizard guy would come back, you know, like, bring them back through high magic, chaos magic, or mysticism. You know, it's just a different flavor of doing that thing, basically.
Awesome. I like how you kind of canonicalized the sort of dungeon master as well into the TTRPG.
Yeah, like the dungeon master is, you know, not a one person, but basically like has, is magic. The dungeon master is the magic, basically.
Yeah, not a lot of role-playing games do that, to be honest.
Yeah, and some people are, like, some dungeon masters are too brutal, I feel. Like, they're too mean, they're too punishing, and that kind of deters people, like, some people, not everybody, because some people want that. That kind of deters people from wanting to play. And so, like, Magic and Realms of Dirt is basically your way to, like, combat a mean DM.
Yeah.
And if you ask me, to everybody out there, if you're playing with a DM that's a jerk, find a different DM, find a different group. There's plenty of people out there who will care about you and treat you right. And you deserve to be treated right. You don't deserve to be in a role-playing game and have someone bully you. Like, that's just, what are we, 7? You know, like, there's no need for that. And it's strange that it happens so much. But yeah, magic is your way to escape that.
Yeah, is there any parts of the lore that you want to move on to?
Let's see. I don't know. Are there any parts of the lore that you want to move on to? Like anything that you want to see or anything?
Yeah, I'd like to know about the, probably the zodiacs within the lore.
Okay. Let's go to zodiacs. So your zodiacs are just like your astrological signs, just like in real life. We have like different months and stuff. Some months still have the same name. Like December is just December. October is just October. But then other things like have like silly names, right? Like January is January. April is Schmapril. May is Schmay. June is June. July is Juby. August is Frogus, etc. I'll just name them all out. There's January, February, March, Schmapril, Schmay, June, Jubai or Juby, Frogus, September, October, November, and December. And then for our seasons, winter is Frinter, spring is Sprin, summer is Summer, autumn is Grotum. And so when you scroll down here, you can use that to get your different zodiac signs. And I think I even have lore for them as well, if I can. I'll have to find that later. But you can see, like, there's Argies, that's the spider goat. Tayek, it's like, it's just the horse. The horses in the game are a hodgepodge of a bunch of different things. I actually explained that in another stream, but basically it's like a mix of like a silverfish, triops, a Baphomet moth, a sand flea, and a horse. So Tayek is just a regular horse in the game. For them it's regular, for us it's the weird monstrosity that I've made. Let's see, Castux, it just says lizard, I forgot what that was. Torgwa is, like a alligator turtle. That's basically Cancer. Ligo or Ligo is a liger. There are no lions or tigers in this game. There's just ligers. Um, Astra is like a worm woman. I really need to find the old like things explaining this. Justra is I'm guessing that's justice. Like I see like a gun and swords. Jellio, it shows like a jellyfish and a pufferfish. Were is like a wolf and an elf. Crephorn is a spider ram instead of a spider goat. And then there's Waterboy. Wait, hold up. What was this? Zodiac signs. Let's see. Waterboy is Aquarius. If you're an Aquarius and you want to play as an Aquarius in the game, you can be Waterboy. And then the last one is the Pisces one, I'm guessing. That's Bloop. That one is definitely a fucking squid. And next to here you can see like all other signs, right? Like one is like a fire sign, another is mountain, air. You get it, right? If you want to see more, you can come into the Discord and like come find like your thing. We've got the polarities and the modalities, triplicities, right? We've got like the positive and negative and the masculine and the feminine, all the fun stuff for zodiac signs. They're basically just fun like little rip-offs of the real life zodiac signs. I didn't want to be too technical and too like crazy, but there is some lore for each of them. I just have to go find it, and I don't have it right now. Let me actually check my notes on my phone. It might be on my notes on my phone. If not, it's something probably physically written down, because I have a few things that are physically written down. Zodiac signs.
Yeah, zodiac signs are pretty fun in real life as long as you don't take them too seriously.
Oh yeah, I think that I do not take them seriously at all, but I think it's fun to like read my horoscope sometimes, like, and I don't knock people, for like believing in it. Oh shit, what happened? You good? Oh, okay. I think that may have been me. I think my signal went out, but yeah, I don't knock people for believing in it. If someone really wants to believe it, as long as they're not toxic about it. And I feel the same way with like every like religion and like magical practice is like, if you truly believe in it, but you're not a jerk about it, that's fine. Like as long as you're not like, I'm not gonna hang out with you because you're a Cancer. Like, don't do that, honey. Don't do that. Yeah, right. But like if you're like, oh, you're a Cancer, maybe you're like this or that, or I read this like about like, I'd be like, oh, that's fun, tell me more. Like I'm not gonna be an asshole about it. I'm gonna be like, tell me more, tell me the lore, tell me my lore of being a Cancer. I love that. I love when people do my tarot. I love when people do like my horoscopes and stuff. Like, I enjoy that. I don't like fully believe it. Maybe a little bit. Maybe like, I like maybe 1% believe it, or 5% or 10% or something like that. Like, I believe maybe there's like a little bit of magic in the world, right? There's some like fun little like mystic thing out there. Who knows? You know? That's the fun of believing stuff. I like to really agnostic, almost levels, lightly believe in things. Let's see. Oh no, I don't. Oh, but I do have my Eastern Zodiacs. Let's see. Oh wait, I don't exactly. Oh god damn it. I mean, it looks like I started on Eastern Zodiacs, but then kind of quit. Maybe I can ask Shelton for help on the Eastern Zodiacs. I'm not sure if they're into Eastern Zodiacs or Zodiacs at all. We'll have to see. Let's see. I have written down some stuff about grimoires, rituals, spells, and stuff. Let's see. Some of these things are retcon though. I'll have to scroll through a little more. Yeah, it looks like some of these things were the retcon stuff. Let's see, I'm still trying to look. Oh shit, whoops. This is from like an old medieval RPG. I'm so stupid, dude. Yep, that's right. I'm reading through my medieval RPG by accident. I had a medieval RPG I was working on for a while. And then I stopped. Wow, okay, so I guess I... Wait, maybe this is it?
Oh.
No, shit. I don't... Okay, it must be written on paper. I'll have to find it. The alien lore that we're about to do for the VVVEX universe, that's all written on paper too. Which I'll post soon, and I'll write some more lore for it. Some of the stuff I'm missing, and it's in like old emails that I think have been deleted. Because I wrote it for another band, and I got permission to keep some of it. Which we're also, by the way, we should not be talking about that in stream too much, because I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about it, and I don't want to like get them in trouble with their label or anything. And I want to be respectful too. So I guess that's like all we have really on Zodiacs right now for the stream. Was there another thing you want to move on to, or do you think this is good?
This is good. This is good.
Yeah, I think so too. We've got a lot done. We've got pretty much all the basics done. I think this is great for the viewer. And also too, like if we want to change anything, if I want to change anything, or if the viewers want something to change or add something that like would require a change in something else, we would still have like a good like grounding level to do that without like messing up too much stuff, basically. So yeah, I think you're right. This is a good point. Super good point. I guess we should end the stream. Do you want to just like end the stream and like talk about whatever, or what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Just end the stream and talk about whatever.
All right, gang. Well, I hope that you, well, we both hope that you have a good night, a good day, a good morning, good whatever it is, wherever you are. We care about you in the non-weird parasocial way, because you are a fellow human being.